The last time I was here in Remsen was about 20 years ago. It was for the marriage of Glenn and Amy, and it was before I was a priest. So anything that I did or said cannot be held against me in a church or court of law. And this time, a great deal has ensued. Obviously, I've been a military chaplain the last couple of years. And a friend of mine from Iraq, Sergeant Major, approached me one day and he said, "I'd like to become a Catholic." I said, "Why is that, Sergeant Major?" He said, "Because the thing I learned in school about apostolic succession." And I thought to myself, how many people, how many Catholics in the pew know what is apostolic succession? The Sergeant Major, who had very little religious background, knew that the bishops, the priests, and the deacons of the church receive a power or a holy orders. It comes in a direct line through 2,000 years of history, succeeded from the apostles themselves by the laying on of hands. That is something that the Sergeant Major saw that made the church legit. It made him desire to come to that same altar, which Deacon Rick will be serving, ministering the Eucharist to the faithful, being one who baptizes, who resides at weddings, preaches in the church. So we recognize a great order of the church. And many people ask me from time to time, what is a deacon? We see a deacon is involved in sacraments. And yet the word deacon comes from the Greek translation, which means to serve at table, to be a waiter. And to attain the true meaning of the word, one could look at some familiar passages. As Jesus said, the Son of Man came not to be deaconed, but to deacon. We see one who is a deacon is called not to be served, but to serve. This beautiful ministry of the church is something that is displaying probably the greatest, the permanent deacon, who serves the church. He serves his family. He serves at his job, not necessarily receiving wages, but at a great cost of his life. And so it is a wonderful thing today to experience this freshly ordained deacon of the church. The ordination yesterday, as they called the names of the deacons, they said present. From the Latin, ad sum, which means here I am. That is the real call. That is a true vocation to give yourself as a gift to God and to the church with your life. And so it is we rejoice in this day in which Deacon Rick Roeder heeds the call, gives his life to the church, serves the Catholic Church, and we come here to celebrate. And yet we are also somewhat surprised on this occasion. I talked to his mother yesterday for some words of inspiration about Rick. She said, "Rick wrote, my son Rick is the last person in my family I thought would ever receive holy orders." And she wanted to describe some great stories and lore from the old days. One of them, he brought a horse to the house. And he took this riding horse and he walked it around the kitchen and around the living room and left. When they found out about it, his mom said, "Son, why did you do that?" And Rick said, "Mom, because I want to tell my friends about it at school." Rick always stood out. And I went to college with him at Newman University in Wichita. And he had this big car. And he spray painted on one side, "You're out." And on the other side, he spray painted "Sweet 16" and wrote "Celtics" or something like that. It didn't even make any sense at all. He had bullet holes in his car. Didn't even ask him about that. And he was one who stood out on his baseball team. He was a pitcher. I remember he was throwing errant balls all over the place, spraying the backstop. He took his mitt and threw it over the dugout. And at the show up for the road trips. Everybody had their warm-ups and their duffel bag.